ski. Well, so first day we were talking about balance, because balance is certainly, if there was a gateway into skiing, then balance would be written in large letters over the top of the gateway, because if you're off balance then nothing works. And we were deciding that two parts of the body that are pretty key for balance is the feet and the core, because if the core is floppy, the upper body waves around, which makes the fore and aft balance a problem, and your feet have to be not clenched, soft, right? Not actually relaxed. They need to be alive. Good feet. And if we're skiing in deep snow, balance is particularly important, because if you lose your balance, it's a major issue to get it back. So that was one pretty important thing, which made a big difference to your dad. Because I think he had actually been clenching his feet. And certainly his core was a bit on the floppy side. We spent a little bit of time looking. One of the fundamental things that we want to do in skiing is to try and use the design of the ski. Because otherwise you may as well go and buy a pair of skis for £5 from a car boot sale if you're not using the design. And to do that you need to be aware of how the ski works and what you need to do to the ski to get a reaction from it. So a lot of what I do is based on trying to feel for input and output. So in other words, we need to be aware of the input we're making and be able to feel the output that we get as a direct result of that input. Once you get to that point, then a little light comes on and you think, okay, if I do this, that happens, then you're away. So we looked a bit at three elements: pressing the ski, tilting the ski, and steering the ski, which is three axes: vertical, lateral and rotational. What else do we look at? Trying to steer the ski, something that would help most of you, particularly you actually, Ingram, is if you can start to steer the ski using the top part of your leg, in other words, roll your thigh in towards the turn, then that kills two birds with one stone, because it steers the ski, but it also gives it a nice degree of tilt, so you can actually create some edge angle without having to throw your feet out to the side. If that makes sense. And then I think another fairly major thing that we the result from today particularly was the concept of not leaving the outside ski behind, because we need to keep the feet underneath us. In old school, you tend to have one foot in front and one behind, and that causes a problem with the back of the ski breaking away. So what I suggested was that it's almost like kicking a wet football. We need to drive the outside ski forwards a bit along its length, so that we keep it underneath us fundamentally. And that actually requires a certain amount of physical effort, but that's good because it's a way of putting power into your skiing. You get a lot more from the ski.
It's quite akin to telemark, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like sort of feeling of telemarking almost on alpines. Don't mince. But that's improved. If you have a reasonable stance, it allows more room to work the skis. I think that's probably the main points, really, isn't it?
I remember when you were talking about balance, you were saying about how it's important not to rely on the boot to keep your position and to keep
sure. Okay, yeah, you've got to stand up for yourself inside your boots, ski in your socks.
Yeah.
Because if you're dangling, what I call dangling in the front of the ski boot, which is something people used to be encouraged to do to try and stop them from dangling in the back of the ski boot. then essentially you're relying on a piece of plastic to hold you up, so therefore you're not balancing properly for yourself. Yeah, that's very important. For sure. Also, what else was it on that?
Well, we'd have to refer to Peter's book to get everything right.
Because that, I think, was quite a common myth that we were all that we all believed.
Yeah, no, well that's right. There's lots of myths, aren't there?
And then the other one obviously was keeping our legs too close together.
Yeah. Going up and down.
Going up and down,
which is, you don't go up and down for the hell of it. You go up and down because you're pressing on the ski. Where your body faces, it's a common myth, isn't it? A lot of people think you're supposed to face downhill all the time, but you're not. Just face where you're going, or face where you want to go. Because you tend to go where you're facing, so on that basis it's handy to face where you're going.
And then also I remember you were saying at one point about some of the key differences between skiing on piste and off piste.
Yeah, that's true,
And one that I thought was very important is quite little known by people who are just used to skiing on piste, is about how off piste your weight should be actually evenly distributed across the skis rather than weight on the lower ski.
Yeah, you stand on both feet. Definitely, because if you stand on one foot, then it sinks, and then over you go. That's a balance issue again. We don't have a problem with balance laterally on the piste normally, because if you start to fall one way, you can catch it. But in deep snow, your lateral balance has to be spot on as well.
Is it true to say that in defence of mincing, you're allowed to mince in deep snow?
Yeah, you can mince a bit in deep snow.
The definition of mincing is keeping
you don't have to.
keeping your feet together.
Yeah,
That's the definition of mincing.
Definition of mincing is keeping. Well, it's a combination of things actually. It's keeping your feet together. It's also when you start wiggling. Yeah, the human sperm style of skiing. Too much wiggle. Yeah, we don't want too much flailing. I mean, I'm very keen on trying to keep skiing simple. Which means ski from the ground up. And your focus really wants to be on, if possible, trying to feel how the ski's working against the snow, and then let that work its way up through your body.
And then finally, like mentally, we haven't really touched a lot on like the mindset and all that for when you're skiing, but I've always thought it's important to always stay relaxed and calm and not get too uptight, and like you say, keep things as simple as possible. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, keeping it simple, certainly. Mentally, you've got to be. There's 4 important aspects to any performance. You can break it down into 4 areas. Break it down into technical, tactical, physical, and emotional. A lot of people focus a lot on the technical aspect of the performance, which is clearly important. But as you get better, I mean, and what we've been looking at a bit this week also in places is tactics. Some people can ski quite well, but their tactics are diabolical. They're never skiing in the right place or the right type of turn or whatever. So trying to improve people's tactics can make a big difference. Physical is kind of obvious, if you're weak or ill or 135 kilos like my client last week, then it's going to affect your performance big time. And the emotional aspect, for sure, you've got to be up for it. You need to be interested. If you're not interested, it's not going to work. And actually skiing an off-piste, I think it's quite a useful thing to do at the start of the run, before you actually make your first turn, is to just try and sort of G yourself up a little bit. Just think, right, okay, I'm not going to mess about here. I'm going to actually give it some. That was the other thing in off-piste. You've got to work harder, haven't you? It's not. It looks easy, but it's not. You need to wind up the power setting a bit. So we covered a few more bits and bobs here.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rob. You've been amazing.
No problem. It's a pleasure. Pleasure to ski with you.
Are you going to go get your